On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Oklahoma City now becomes one of 4 NBA teams ever, one of 3 NBA champs ever, to win at least 84 total regular season and postseason games.
It's just the beginning, Ben, and you just look at a team with, these guys at such a young age, and, Chet's got a team option, Ismail Dieng has a team option, Jalen Williams team option, Keyshawn Wallace team option. Hey, Ben, they're all coming back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We are seeing unbelievable temperature surges over the past couple days. So I wanted to ask you this question to let the people know, how do we account for that in our handicapping? 2 good pitchers on the mound, but you look at a place like Wrigley Field, let's just say, 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, 90-plus degree temperatures. Is it almost like you say to yourself, you just have to fade the environment and not worry about the pitchers, because if we're hitting fly balls, they're going yard?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
As we know, it's just we enter every year and it's, is this the Ravens' time? Is this Lamar Jackson's turn? Can they get past the Chiefs and all of these other, stalwarts of the AFC? But it's always really about Kansas City when we're talking Baltimore.
This potentially, Adam, as I send it back to you, potentially is a game changer in that you get a very talented quarter at a discount price.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome to hour number 2, live right here on this Thursday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid. He is Donnie right side. I am Ben Stevens. We'll continue with some NBA draft reactions to the opening round of the 2025 draft last night. Now the NBA draft for a second straight year. 2-night event. Round number 2 tonight. Only 29 picks, though, DRS. The New York Knicks will not be selecting in their original spot. They coughed up a pick because of tampering with Jalen Brunson to acquire him as an offseason free agent. His dad, Rick, probably had something to do with that. So 29 picks tonight on night number 2 in BK, coming your way a little bit later on. We start, though, here in hour 2 with a Major League Baseball recap. A full slate Wednesday and plenty of pitching performances on the bump to break down for you all.
Yeah, no, we'll have a good time with baseball yesterday. I would like to have 1 or 2 RBIs go my way, but the focal point of some of these games, picking unders and sides, was still very good yesterday. And I continue to say, look, I got to read on the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves. And I told you yesterday exactly the way that game was going to play out, and it did. I'm going to hold back because I have another way, exactly the way that game is going to play tonight, and away we go. But the NBA, 2 nights, interesting, right? Sort of making it like that NFL environment, which I don't mind, and there's still a lot of really good names on the board. Again, for the sake of, even when we recap it, I go to ESPN just to see a list of where these guys were drafted. Can we just put them on the real teams? Honestly, because, and I'm not talking about the people that follow the draft know exactly where it went, but people just waking up this morning, or NBA people, you know what, let me just review the first round. You need a calculus degree to understand who got traded, where they traded to, and who's on their team. Just when the trades, even if they aren't official, put the right hat on the player. Talk about, we all know where he's going. It's they have to speak in code, oh, well, this trade went here, but he's going here, but I see him in a Houston hat. He's not going to Houston. I don't understand why they still do that. It's a formality. We get it. But no other sports league does this to confuse their fan base like the NBA, and nobody wants it.
Confuse fan bases, confuse families of players trying to celebrate the biggest moment of their lives, maybe even confusing franchises involved in the NBA draft. Donnie, quickly before we dive into Major League Baseball, I do want your take. We talked about it briefly. Kevin brought it up on the show last night. It's outdated. It's asinine. Stop having the kids walk on stage, Hug, embrace Adam Silver, the commissioner, to celebrate the biggest moment perhaps their lives will ever see, and put on the hat of an NBA team that they will never even visit that city nor ever even play a second for. We all know that officially this team is trading the draft rights of said player to his eventual destination. Just have them put on that hat so the moment can be immortalized. Not Will Riley wearing the hat of the Utah Jazz when he is going to play for the Washington Wizards. It is so dumb. Stop it. You want to do official in terms of your draft tracking status? Fantastic. Switch the hats. Let the moments live. Let them be significant and special. Rant done.
But by the way, let me just double down. Like I like to equate this to real life, Ben. Can you imagine, like myself and my wife, we have a daughter. We had our kid, and they gave us a random baby right off the bat to take a picture with saying, congratulations. That's the equivalent. One of the biggest moments that kid is ever going to have. And you saw, like, the emotion in these kids' voices. Like, I lifted my entire family out of a bad situation. Like, I'm putting on for Africa at this point. Boy, look, I want to bring all my, brothers up here like Con Knipple had and even like Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
The biggest moments. And some of these guys like, hey, put that on the mantle. Dad, I didn't know you played for Atlanta. Yeah, I didn't play for Atlanta. Explain this picture to me. All right, let me see how the end. Like, why are we doing this? It's such an easy fix to do, and they don't do it. Like, the NFL doesn't. Usually they go down that corridor, and it's like, here's the mirror. You put the hat on, you flex for it right there, and you get up there like, hey, Dad, didn't know you played for the Packers. I never did. Why'd you get the Packers hat? That's sort of convoluted. It's a long story. You're so right about this. Just change that. It's so simple to make that change.
Maybe that's what happened with the guy, I'm blanking on his name, the starter for the Red Sox that said his dad was cut by the Yankees and might have played for the D-backs. What was his name?
Dobbins.
Yeah, Hunter Dobbins. Maybe that's what happened. His dad just switched hats during the MLB draft back in like 82. We never will know. All right, DRS, speaking of some young stars, we start our Major League Baseball recap here to start off hour number 2. And what a pitching matchup we had during some afternoon baseball yesterday in Milwaukee. Rubber match between the Brewers and the Buccos. Paul Skeens day number 35 in the history of MLB. But that's not really the story. He got out-dueled yesterday by the rookie for Milwaukee. Jacob Misiorowski, the flamethrower, continues to deal in his first few starts of his MLB career. And Skeens got roughed up, 4 innings of work, allowing 4 earned, just his 3rd start of the year, even allowing 3 or more earned runs. And Pittsburgh falls in Milwaukee. The Brew Crew stays hot. They beat the Pirates behind another gem from Jacob Misiorowski, 4-2.
Yeah, we talk about like the 50 club, right? Well, joining the 50 club in the wrong direction now is the Pittsburgh Pirates with 50 losses on the season. That's one of those games which was interesting, Ben, because you knew Paul Skeens and how good he is. You take a look at the FanDuel Sportsbook. He's the favorite to win the Cy Young in the National League. But at the same time, the Pittsburgh Pirates still back him up on offense, and sometimes you can pull through. The Pirates don't like to do that. They only scored 2 runs yesterday. Misiorowski was dominant. 5 innings pitched, no earned runs, 8 strikeouts. As I said, this kid is a dominant power pitcher. It's going to take some time for Major League Baseball to see him a few times around the rotation and get a book on him. Right now, he's eating and eating good, and it was no surprise to me that you saw roughly a pick'em on the board in the odds market saying, wait a second, young kid versus Skeens, where do I sign up? That's what you get. This kid is dominant and use it to his advantage against a light-hitting Pittsburgh lineup.
Skeens entered yesterday, DRS, with a 4-6 record, but the Pirates had won 4 of his last 5 starts. He falls to 4-7 this year. Skeens also entered yesterday with a 1.85 ERA, the best in Major League Baseball. That is now north of 2. For the first time in his career, Skeens allows 4 earned runs in a single inning, all coming against Milwaukee in that home half of the second. Jacob Misiorowski, I'm not sure, is qualified based on the innings that he has dealt so far in his MLB career. But DRS, he is now 3-0. Yesterday went 5 innings of work, planked Pittsburgh, only allowed 2 hits, struck out 8 with all the flames that he is throwing, and has a 1.13 ERA so far in his Major League Baseball career. He has been absolutely dealing to begin his career in the bigs, and that's been great for the Brew Crew because Misiorowski was called up right around the end of May. Milwaukee was 25-28 on May 24th. They are now 20-8 since that point, making a charge up the divisional standings in the National League Central.
Yeah, not a great hitting lineup either. Christian Yelich waking up another RBI once again yesterday. It is not a great lineup that you say, okay, on a night-to-night basis, I want to see 3 to 4 guys in my lineup for RBI chances, but you have a chance in the Central with teams that you should be able to beat, and sometimes all it takes is a shot in the arm. How many times do I tell you, like, momentum is only good at Major League Baseball as the pitcher that you have on the bump the next day, and this guy is giving you everything here and a lot of confidence now in that locker room as opposed, hey, let's see what the kid has to. Hey, I can't wait for the kid to get back out there because we're going to win another baseball game.
Yeah, we shall see, DRS, because Jacob Mizorowski dealing at the moment. And Big Miz, now the minus money favorite to win National League Rookie of the Year. Minus 120, an award that Paul Skeens, of course, ran away with a season ago and even flirted with Cy Young contention during his rookie campaign in the Steel City. Right now, despite maybe one of the rougher starts of his career yesterday, which is saying something, Paul Skeens still remains that NL Cy Young favorite at minus 230. DRS, if Skeens is going to win the Cy Young Award in the National League, he very well might do so with a losing record, but maybe one of the lowest ERA. More around the bigs. Next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rhythm. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Donnie right side in the brilliant baseball mind has been all over the 4 games set this week between the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets. Of course, the Braves swept the Mets in Atlanta last week, 3-game midweek set between these NL East divisional foes. Atlanta won the first 2 games this week up in Flushing. As Donnie predicted, they won game 1 behind Spencer Schwellenbach, and he said the same thing would happen in game number 2. But last night, in what was a questionable theme or headline that Donnie inserted for the third of 4 games, calling it a certain party with Didier Fuentes getting the start for Atlanta. The New York Mets finally snapped their losing skid against the Braves and plate 7 runs. The Amazons win their first game of the past 2 weeks against the Braves, 7-3 last night, trying to stop some of the bleeding, dropping 10 of their last 11 entering Wednesday night's affair.
City party, Diddy party, Ben, as we talk about. And by the way, if you're following any of the details of the Diddy trial, which we're not going to go into any details of those. You people have followed out here on Twitter at this point. Like, Diddy parties get crazy late. This Diddy party got crazy early with 6 on the board before the 4th inning. And I told you what happened. I told you yesterday the New York Metropolitans were the side here. Juan Soto was going yard left and right. That's what I call putting money in your back pocket. That's a party to me, baby. And it was a party at Citi Field last night.
I just want this to be said for maybe legal reasons, disavow. We have nothing to do with those celebrations by any means. I got to say it. Does that mean with 2 home runs last night that Juan Soto was the Punisher? Is that what happened against the Atlanta Braves?
Get into it. Yeah, get into it right there. Come on now. Yep. That guy's been amazing at the plate, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Tough scene.
All right. Well, the Mets win 7-3, finale of that 4-game set tonight at Citi Field. A lot of games today, DRS, on this Getaway Thursday. The only game in the evening hours is the 4th and final between New York and Atlanta, of course, before both teams will take on a new opponent this weekend. A lot of day baseball to come on this Thursday. The brilliant baseball mind of one DRS will break it all down a little bit later on. Picks, previews, and best bets. Let's continue to react around Major League Baseball. A couple of former Mets hurlers on the mound yesterday. Max Scherzer, his second start of the year now for his new team in the Toronto Blue Jays. Made his only start of the year, 3 innings before leaving with lat soreness back at the end of March. Back on the bump yesterday after nearly 3 months. 5 innings of work, 3 earned allowed since that first start on March 29th. The Blue Jays, who have been really good as of late, coughed one up against the Cleveland Guardians, who walk it off in extras 5-4 and 10.
Like, I actually wasn't paying attention as this game finished, so I thought you were reading, like, Scherzer pitched yesterday, lat sore, and is going to miss another start. Like, I mean, brother, give it up at this point. But, yeah, he wasn't, so I was ready for that right off the bat. But Scherzer, 5 innings pitched, 3 earned runs, trying to work your way back in. But here's the issue again at hand. One team, Ben, was the Cleveland Guardians, 4 for 8 with runners in scoring position, maximizing your chances here. Look at the Toronto Blue Jays. Yes, they plated 4 runs, 1 of 10 with runners in scoring position, 10 men left on base. That'll get you beat every single time.
Yeah, it certainly will, DRS. And Toronto, again, playing really good baseball entering yesterday. Again, another former Mets starter, Jacob deGrom, was sensational yesterday on the road in Camden Yards against the Baltimore Orioles. The Rangers win 7-0 against the O's. deGrom retired the first 18 batters that he saw from Baltimore. 18 up, 18 down, took a no-hitter into the 8th inning. Did lose that no bid, but Texas did not lose again. They win 7-0 in Baltimore.
Yeah, needed that victory. Every win they can get certainly is fine. And, hey, how about that? An RBI last night for Corey Seager. My goodness. And hopefully that guy wakes up on the season. But just looking from an Oriole perspective, 34-46. The team is just a mess at this point. When you run into a hot pitcher, you understand that. But it just seems like the Baltimore Orioles are running into a hot pitcher every single night because they can't get out of their own way. Nice cruise control victory for the Rangers, who now sit 1 game under 500. When is that charge going to start? When is that lineup really going to hit? Maybe last night was a pretty good springboard, plating 7 runs against the O's.
12 years for Jacob deGrom in Major League Baseball. Of course, at his absolute best and at his healthiest, a multiple-time National League Cy Young Award winner. Far better than we have seen, DRS, in the last decade plus in Major League Baseball. But injuries, of course, have been a big story for his final few years up in Queens with the Mets. And, of course, his first 2 years after that blockbuster signing with the Rangers in Arlington. Only 9 total starts the previous 2 seasons in 2023-24. He's healthy this year, already making 16 outings for Texas. He is 8-2, now with a 2.08 ERA. That is the 4th best number in all of Major League Baseball. Again, Donnie, as we have shared numerous times, the Rangers' issue this year, not their starting staff. Nathan Eovaldi, when healthy, has been great. DeGrom, lights out, as we saw yesterday. Even guys like Tyler Mahle are absolutely shoving. It's been the offense. They blanked Baltimore yesterday, so they only needed one. They got 7. Max Fried, his debut year up in New York. Man, it's been incredible. Now our MLB leader in wins, picking up his 10th of the season, the first to get to double digits, and lowering his ERA to a 1.92 as the Yankees get a win they desperately needed in Cincinnati to avoid a sweep, 7-1 in the Great American Ballpark.
I'll tell you how bad it was. Like 7-1's like, hey, 6 runs is a lot, and that is a blow-up. But I don't know if I've seen this in a while. Like in a non-extra inning game where you just get the ghost runner out that puts a guy in runners in scoring position so you get 3 at-bats right away. How about the Yankees? 4 of 22 with runners in scoring position and 12 men left on base. Like, could that have been 14-1 as a final with ease if we just got some simple plays out there? But an easy victory for the Yankees, you'll take it. And yes, Max Fried now under 2 on an ERA on the season where he's pitching in New York. Most people get that big contract go to New York. Oh, the lights are so bright. This ballpark's so smart. What did I do here? Not Max Fried this year, man. 10-2 on the season and under 2 ERA. Not enough people talking about what a great acquisition in the offseason that was for the Yanks.
7 innings of work, only 4 base knocks. A run was scored against him, but not earned, with 7 strikeouts. So the 1.92 ERA for Max Fried after yesterday's outing for Paul Skeens puts him with the second best, I think only behind Hunter Brown of the Houston Astros in all of Major League Baseball. Speaking of the Astros, they blanked the Phils once again. Zach Wheeler not bad on the other side. Ronald Acuna Jr. commits to the home run derby in Atlanta, the first to commit. Plenty more around the bigs next.
Just seemed like a salary dump, and that's what the shocking part of it is. But also, let's take a look at this. From a Giants perspective, they have money to spend. People weren't taking their money. Now that they hit the trade market, and quite frankly, I did thought they got a steal. You're talking about a guy that should be good in the major leagues for the next 7 to 8 years in his prime, and the going rate of a salary for a great baseball player from the free agent market, it's $300+ million. That's what San Francisco made out well.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter and this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scotty, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. You know, don't worry about the first 5 innings. Like, don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Continue to recap yesterday around Major League Baseball before a Thursday slate getaway day with plenty of afternoon and day baseball to get you ready for. DRS, we showed you the headlines, right? Some great pitching performances on the bump. Ronald Acuna Jr. for the All-Star game in just under a month. now probably only about 3 weeks away in Atlanta. He'll be a part of the home run derby, first player to commit in his home ballpark. But another headline we had to leave off. The Mets have DFA'd a man that took the internet by storm just about 48 hours ago. Their reliever, Richard, but don't call him Richard, Dickie Lovelady. DFA'd after only one outing, Dickie Lovelady. We wish him the absolute best and wherever his baseball journey continues next.
We do. And by the way, you know what's interesting about these guys, too? Because when you say your career like minor leaguer, you get brought up for like one game. We need you for one game of the bigs, maybe 2 games. Like your pay really gets bumped up to that like rookie salary scale, 1 out of 162 games here. So you get a huge pay bump. You get the nice uniform. You get all the trainers. You get like the nice buffet after the game. And then you take that like Uber ride back to the minors. Like, man, I was just up there in the lap of luxury. I hope I can get back at that point. That's got to be an interesting life because you love to be there, but the understanding is like, I might only be here for 24 hours. You get a hotel room? Like, what do you even get? Like, you come in early in the day, you play the game. Like, bro, you don't even get to stay at the Waldorf with us here. You got to head right back into like Reading or something like that at the end of the game. It's an interesting life that those minor leaguers that are just looking to make it to Major League Baseball get. But once you get there, it feels like you made it. And then it's like, hey, 18 hours ago, I was in the majors. Now I'm in Paul Tuckett or something around here.
Paul Tuckett. That sounds like a good. I'll be in the Northeast. Well, I guess I am in the Northeast. I'll be in New England this weekend starting tomorrow. DRS, not a solo mission.
Wait, where are you going?
Trinary will be.
Away?
Did you not know that?
What? No, I didn't know that, but I thought it was. I thought it was maybe just like a day off or something like that. So do you have a vacation planned or a getaway planned a week after a vacation?
Well, no, I'm just going to Newport, Rhode Island for a wedding. I leave this afternoon. I'll be back this weekend. But it just worked out well, working a double shift yesterday, NBA draft show, getting to use a comp day Friday. So, listen, tight turn for me. We left this studio at 11:45 last night. You're lucky that
who is this
I am.
Now, who is this? Is this a friend? Is this a family member? Is this a Syracuse Newhouse acquaintance? Who is this?
No, family friend of my lovely, lovely fiance, Chloe Durkin. Somebody that she has known for a long time.
Okay. All right. So now here's how this goes. Enjoy your weekend, hon.
Come on now.
I'm staying home. Like, do my house. Enjoy that weekend here. You know what I mean? I'm sure you'll have a great time up there. Text me if you need me. I'm staying home in the city. We're hanging out with the boys this weekend. That's how it will go to me. A friend's wedding on the wife's side or the fiance's side. That's a tough pull to get your boy to DRS to go to. How about that?
And
a destination.
A stag
like,
weekend for Donnie right side.
Yeah.
Listen,
come on.
Maybe when you and your lovely wife have been married for as long as you have, maybe I'll pull that off in like 2.5 decades. Right now,
I've been saving this one for a day or two. Yesterday, Ben, was the 25th. That's my 15th wedding anniversary. So you ready for it? Here's how we get down in the business, right? Like the wife is with the kid in Wildwood, New Jersey. And I remember her texting me 2 weeks ago, hey, I know it's our anniversary, but we would like to get away to the shore. Hey, enjoy, have fun. Like 15th anniversary, I'm home alone because the wife and the kid are in Wildwood. That's how we get down. Like the trust that goes on. Like, sure, wedding anniversary, you could stay down the shore while I work. Fantastic.
Hold on a second. When your wife offered that up, it's our 15th wedding anniversary. I want to go down the shore, enjoy the nice weather, be on the beach, live it up, and start the early portion of summer. When she said that to you, it was with the expectation that you would be there with your wife and daughter?
No.
Or she very well knew that she would say that, I want my anniversary trip to be down the shore, enjoy staying at home.
They go on vacation all the time with me because I'm always working at this point. But this was one of those where she did ask, like, hey, I know it's our anniversary, know, vacation or something like that. And I said, hey, enjoy yourself because we have plans this weekend in Atlantic City, which is fine. But I get a kick out of it because I don't know how that would go over, like, honestly, on the opposite side. Like, if I asked my wife, like, there was some times where I had to go away for work. It's like, I can't even believe you're doing that. It's like, it's for my job. Like, I don't want to, like, get canned. And it was nothing to do here at the SportsGrid Network. But asking the wife, saying, hey, me and the boys are going to a Phillies game. I know it's our 15th anniversary. Would that be okay? Like, for me, I roll with the punch. Like, enjoy yourself. Fantastic. I'll see you back on Friday. But other shoe on the other foot, I would like to see how that actually worked out. Hey, hon, I'm going to go out on our 15th anniversary. Is that okay? I'm like, yeah, sure. Enjoy your night. Never.
Donnie right side lives a wonderful
go.
life. We were supposed to show you the World Series odds, but we had bigger things to do. More next.
Just seemed like a salary dump, and that's what the shocking part of it is. But also, let's take a look at this. From a Giants perspective, they have money to spend. People weren't taking their money. Now that they hit the trade market, and quite frankly, I thought they got a steal. You're talking about a guy that should be good in the major leagues for the next 7 to 8 years in his prime, and the going rate of a salary for a great baseball player from the free agent market, it's $300+ million. I thought San Francisco made out well.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter or this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scotty, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on this Thursday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. What would a Thursday on TEL be without us trying to win with Zinn? That's Mark Zinno joining us here on this Thursday morning. Zinn, as always, we appreciate the time. You're looking good, if I do say so myself. Thanks for being here, part of the SportsGrid Network.
Gentlemen, there are many obstacles in life, but anything that stands in the way of my Thursday visit with you guys is just unacceptable. So we adapt and overcome.
We appreciate that, Mark. We sincerely do. Zinno, last night, round number, I didn't hear what Donnie said. I'm sure it was offensive. Round number 1 of the 2025 NBA draft, as we take a very early look at what might happen in round number 1 of the 2026 NFL draft. We're building up that enthusiasm and excitement for football. Donnie has basically had the countdown going. The final few days of June. Next week is July. An NFL game will be played, albeit preseason, with training camp on the horizon. And collegiately, for the guys who will be in the NFL draft next year, fall camp and media day starting in just a few weeks. Early odds, Zinno, for the 2026 NFL draft, number 1 overall selection. Arch Manning, the quarterback for Texas, is that slight favorite at plus 230. Garrett Nussmeier, the quarterback at LSU, a plus 360 price, second best. Drew Aller from Penn State, Lenora Sellers from South Carolina, tied for the third best price at 5-1. And Cade Klubnik, the signal caller, once again at Clemson, a 9-1 price. Zinno, let's fast forward to the end of April 2026. Who's the first guy walking across the stage to greet Roger Goodell?
Well, it's most likely going to be Arch Manning. I mean, whether, he has a season that warrants Heisman consideration, whether he has a season that, leads Texas into the college football playoff and the national championship are different conversations. By all accounts, Arch Manning is the next coming of Eli Manning, who was the next coming of Peyton Manning, so it all stands to reason that it's all in the family here. But I would be hard pressed to believe that Arch Manning, won't be the number one overall pick. The only thing I think that would delay him being the number one overall pick is if he decides, guess what? I'm going back to college for another year, right? Like that's the only thing that takes it off the board at this point in time. If he lives up to the billing, and again, it's hard to see that he won't, even though we have a very limited sample size of what we've seen from him actually playing so far. By all accounts, most of these NFL scouts and GMs and the people who they talk to, who odds makers talk to set these kind of lines, are telling you that Arch Manning is going to be the prohibitive number one guy.
We take a look at that odds market here, and Arch Manning does have the success. But there was a tweet that I saw just a few short days ago here from Brett McMurphy from the old ball coach, Mark. And I'm going to read this. Quote, most people picking Texas to win the SEC. They've got Arch Manning already winning the Heisman too. My question is, if he was this good, how come they let Quinn Ewers play all the time last year? And he was a 7th-round pick, end quote. How do we get that scuttlebutt? Because I like to believe in this as well, what ball coach is saying. How can you sell me on Arch Manning? This was always the plan, regardless if he was better than Ewers and could have won a championship, but we didn't want him to play yet because it's better for Arch Manning and his career heading into the pros here. How do we determine what we're getting out of Arch Manning? And if that statement from ball coach is in the realm of being truthful?
It's not in the realm of being truthful, and he should know better. Look,
come on.
I covered a team here. I covered a team here in the Georgia Bulldogs who had some guy named Justin Fields in the waiting, who ended up being the number 4 overall draft pick in the NFL draft. And he sat behind, do we remember who, Ben? Do you remember his name? It was Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm, right, who ended up being a 5th-round draft. Was it? No, it was Eason then Fromm, not Fromm then Eason. I was getting confused. But anyway, point simply being, and oh, by the way, Jake Fromm took Georgia to the national title game, right? Like, so coaches want stability. They want known circumstances to go out and win football games. In that world, okay, Jake Fromm and Quinn Ewers were known commodities for their coaches and their coaching staff. To change things meant you would have had to change certain things about the offense. You would have tweaked certain things. You would have had to try and make things more amenable to a particular quarterback skill set. That's the reason why Quinn Ewers stayed. And it worked out because Texas went to the Final Four of the college football playoff, right? Like, so it was the smart move from that standpoint for them to stay with Quinn Ewers and wait until it happens. Justin Fields decides to transfer. He ends up the number 4 overall pick. Ohio State also ends up in the national championship game. I mean, all these things, or semifinal, whatever it was, I can't remember. You get the point. All these things happen for a reason, but just because Quinn Ewers has no impact on what Arch Manning is and what Texas will do this year.
I think we can agree or disagree with Steve Sarkisian's choice toward the tail end of the year when Quinn Ewers was clearly not healthy given that abdomen strain to continue putting Quinn out there. But because of what Ewers meant to the program, to the city of Austin and everything that he was living up to his dramatic billing, taking over the reins for the Burnt Orange, it was not a surprise. Donnie and I have gotten mad at each other for that very idea. Listen, you want to question why Quinn Ewers was out there in front of Arch, all good. But the idea that Arch Manning is going to stink because he was behind a guy that ended up being a 7th-round pick, that's not exactly the correlation. I do take a small bit of solace, I believe, in you and Donnie often seeing eye to eye and making me angry. Donnie expecting you to back him up, but you're on my side, Zinno. Huge win right
He's
there.
just 3 clicks off. He's 3 clicks off right now. He's close, though. Mark's close.
All right, let's get to the current landscape of the National Football League and a veteran quarterback who we have known for a very long time. Zen, I'm not sure we've gotten your exact reaction or thoughts on this. Maybe we have. We spent so much time discussing Aaron Rodgers, it kind of all gets lost in the same conversation. Aaron Rodgers in that quarterback room with the Pittsburgh Steelers, saying earlier this week on the Pat McAfee show, formerly of the SportsGrid Network, that this is probably it. He only signed a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers, basically meaning this 2025 campaign is his retirement tour. So, Zinno, how is that going to look individually for Aaron Rodgers? What is that going to look like for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
You know me, I don't mind sitting on an island by myself, so I'm not afraid to sit here and say that I think it ends up in a playoff berth and possibly a playoff win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, Aaron Rodgers wasn't the problem with the Jets. Objectively, if you look at his numbers and the way he played, that was not the problem. Aaron Rodgers can still play football. Now, for the first time in the last 2 years, he finally has a competent offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith. He's got weapons galore all around him. Not that he didn't with New York, because he did. And he actually has a defense and a coach that brings stability and a certain amount of calm in everything that goes on here. When Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers decided to get together to choose one another to make this thing work, we all knew this was going to end up being a situation where it was going to be in his best interest. I think that, again, Arthur Smith being the coordinator that he is, and I have a very high affinity for him. Some people tell me it's too high, but nonetheless, I think that he's a great offensive coordinator. I think he's a good offensive mind. I think it's exactly what Aaron Rodgers needs here. Mike Tomlin hasn't lost 9 games in the football season, let me think, ever. So I'm not going to worry about the Pittsburgh Steelers being a bad team because of Aaron Rodgers. He's not a bad team. The question is how good of a team can they really be? Aaron Rodgers wasn't the problem with the Jets, and he won't be the problem for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, so no, I was going to say, I don't think he lowers the floor for Pittsburgh by any means. It's just a question of how he elevates the ceiling, because the Steelers have made the playoffs with a rotating cast and crew at the quarterback spot 4 of the previous 5 years. But as you alluded to, which would actually be the hottest of that take, to win a playoff game, something the Steelers have not done since 2016. Zinno, what is a better bet? Aaron Rodgers to win the 2025 MVP award at 75-1, or Aaron Rodgers to win the presidency in 2028 at 100-1, or 1,000-1?
Presidency, yeah. Presidency is probably better odds, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not winning the MVP. He's not winning the MVP. But there's too many other bets.
But he's winning the presidency. There's a chance. Why not?
There's a chance.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun, going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter and this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
As we know, it's just we enter every year, and it's, is this the Ravens' time? Is this Lamar Jackson's turn? Can they get past the Chiefs and all of these other, stalwarts of the AFC? But it's always really about Kansas City when we're talking Baltimore.
This potentially, Adam, as I send it back to you, potentially is a game changer in that you get a very talented quarter at a discount price.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Oklahoma City now becomes one of 4 NBA teams ever, one of 3 NBA champs ever, to win at least 84 total regular season and postseason games.
It's just the beginning, Ben, and you just look at a team with, these guys at such a young age, and, Chet's got a team option, Ismail Dieng has a team option, Jalen Williams team option, Keyshawn Wallace team option. Hey, Ben, they're all coming back.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
From the National Football League to Major League Baseball, we continue to win with Zin bright and early on this Thursday morning on the early line on SportsGrid. Mark Zinno, a conversation that Donnie and I had earlier this week. The head-to-head, maybe two-player race already here before we get to the month of July for the American League MVP award. And from when Donnie and I had this discussion just 2 days ago, the odds continuing to move in the gap that Aaron Judge once had to win his third AL MVP award in the last 4 years. Again, starting to dwindle when you compare it to the number on Big Dumper. Of course, that is Cal Raleigh out there in Seattle. Neither guy has hit a home run since we last discussed these odds. Cal Raleigh still leading all of Major League Baseball with 32. But, Zinno, just a couple of weeks ago, Aaron Judge was minus 20,000 to win the American League MVP honor for a third time in 4 years. That number's still strong minus money, but minus 950. What do you make of this potentially two-player race to win that AL MVP hardware?
When we sat here, what we call it 26 short days ago, as we hit June 1st, I wouldn't have thought that there was another player on the planet who could have taken the MVP award away from Aaron Judge. Well, a very human 265 batting average in the month of June with just 7 home runs. Watching his team plummet and not being able to score certainly is the reason why Cal Raleigh, who deserves all the credit in the world for the surge that he's put together in the month of June, why we now have a two-man race that Aaron Judge is going to have to try and win back. Now, look, I don't think that for all of the bluster that Cal Raleigh has bought, that when we put together the rest of this 162-game sample size, that he's going to end up overtaking Aaron Judge, because Aaron Judge will actually start to, put Judge-like numbers up again. I mean, you saw the 364 batting average. After 265, that was down from 415, which he was batting by the end of May, right? I mean, so those numbers are going to be really hard for Judge to sustain over 162 games because it's hard to hit 400. It's incredibly hard to hit 400. That said, I still think Judge has a lot more good baseball left in him and a lot more home runs that he's going to hit. And so when you look at these two guys side by side, I think there's more pressure on Raleigh to be able to keep this up as a relatively unknown commodity against the monster and the aura that is Aaron Judge than necessarily the other way around. Judge is going to continue to hit and continue to put up eye-popping numbers. And unfortunately, and DRS will agree with me here, some of this is going to boil down to where their team finishes. If Seattle fades and Cal Raleigh ends up missing the postseason, some idiotic voters are going to hold that against him, whereas if Aaron Judge wins the American League East and they have the number one seed, some voters are going to give him a plus for that. That's stupid. It's not the way the vote's supposed to be. It's an individual award. Doesn't matter what their team does, but nonetheless, that's going to happen. So it's going to be a fun race to watch down the rest of the stretch.
It is going to be a good fun race to watch here, and I'm also waiting for those summer months, which obviously we're in right now, where Aaron Judge does go on a tear and sort of says, you know what, I'm probably going to lead the league in home runs once again, which would knock Cal Raleigh out. Because I think the pathway to victory, forget about the teams making the playoffs themselves, is Cal Raleigh to do something special. I don't know, 55-plus home runs where Judge doesn't get to 45 and gives him the advantage. But if Aaron Judge is going to post a number, let's just say a batting average of 340 or higher and somewhere around 45 to 55 home runs, he's probably going to win that. And I do agree with the market analysis where minus 20,000 was crazy with 4 months left to play. An injury could derail you, one player getting hot. It's sort of leveling off. But I do think Aaron Judge being the favorite, rightfully so, being around a minus 800 or 750, more palatable than where we see it at a minus 150 right now. So if we equate this and say, all right, National League here, Shohei Ohtani, now back to pitching on the mound. He's a minus 550 favorite to win the NL MVP over Pete Crow Armstrong, Juan Soto, and Ronald Acuna Jr. For me, I even think Ohtani should be even a higher favorite than Aaron Judge right now because he's back to pitching here, and I just don't see Pete Crow Armstrong hitting 55 home runs even if he plays in Wrigley, Mark. How are you playing out the National League field as opposed to the American League field?
I would look at it this way, and this may surprise you, but if there's a world where Ronald Acuna leads the Atlanta Braves back to the postseason, given how poorly they've played to this point, it's going to garner a lot of attention for him. Now, granted, again, he missed the first month plus of the season. So he would have to have something approaching 40 home runs in about 110 games, whatever it may be, that he would play. And when you extrapolate that, the analytic nerds will turn around and go, well, if he played 162, he would have had 65 home runs and he would have driven on 157 runs, whatever it may be. And that's enough to sway the nerd portion of the voting base in his favor. But the Braves have to end up taking back the National League East, or at least at a minimum, not being the last wild card, being firmly in the postseason. That's a huge ask because I don't really trust the Braves to do it. But if, obviously I'm not going to sit here and lay 550 on Shohei Ohtani, but to look at the guys that are sitting there, the only one that's appealing to me in reality is Ronald Acuna Jr. I don't think Soto's going to put together a good enough campaign, despite offensively the numbers are not going to be pretty enough, particularly from a batting average standpoint. That's going to hurt him. The two guys from the Cubs are going to cannibalize one another, and that just leaves Ronald Acuna as the one guy who could do something special and lead the Braves to the postseason.
Again, he's not going to win the award, but just a quick shout out to James Wood, 55-1, being their top 5 in RBIs this year for the Washington Nationals, who were blanked yesterday by pitching Pivetta. A couple of great pitching performances and pitchers holding down the opposition with a goose egg. Ultimately, Zinno, we're trying to make a race for two guys that are heavily favored to win their second consecutive MVP awards. Judge minus 950, Ohtani minus 550. You can parlay those together on the FanDuel Sportsbook, that two-leg parlay minus 327. Ultimately, when all is said and done this year in Major League Baseball, will that minus 327 hit?
Look, I'm not ever going to bet minus 327 in a parlay.
Didn't ask you to bet it.
Right. That said, it probably is going to hit. It probably is going to hit. I mean, that's the reality of it. I think Ohtani is actually, I would actually flip the odds. I think Ohtani should be a heavier favorite than Judge is at this point in time. Just because, again, once he starts pitching and starts doing so regularly, again, the voters are going to sit there and go, well, now he's doing two things. There's no way we can give it to anybody else, and it's a fait accompli. Again, I still think there's a world where Raul, as Donnie said, has more home runs and is a better offensive player.
So how far away are you right now from Flushing, Queens?
Probably about 12 miles.
Well, let's talk about the Mets and the Braves up next here on the Early Line.
Just seemed like a salary dump, and that's what the shocking part of it is. But also, let's take a look at this. From a Giants perspective, they have money to spend. People weren't taking their money. Now that they hit the trade market, and quite frankly, I thought they got a steal. You're talking about a guy that should be good in the major leagues for the next 7 to 8 years in his prime, and the going rate of a salary for a great baseball player from the free agent market, it's $300+ million. That's what San Francisco made out well.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
What do you make of this price tag here, reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark?
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter or this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scotty, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on the early line on SportsGrid. We win with Zinn continuously. He's pretty close right now to Queens, his normal home in Atlanta. Who better to talk about than the fourth and final game of an interesting midweek set between the Braves and the Mets tonight at Citi Field. Well, they focus quickly, Zinno, on the New York Mets, who on June 12th at 45-24 by a half game had the best record in Major League Baseball. Yes, the Amazons did beat the Braves yesterday 7-3 to snap a 5-game losing skid directly against Atlanta, who entered yesterday dropping 10 of their last 11. But still, it hasn't been a great back half of June for a once very proud organization in this month that really turned around their season at this time a year ago. When you look at the New York Mets overall, in the month of June, sub 500, but again, 2-10 in their last 12 games. Still, second best price to win the National League East. The Phils have been blanked 2 straight games out there in Houston, so the Mets trail Philadelphia by just a half game for that top spot in the NL East. A pretty good price to win that pennant at 6-1 and 11-1 to win the World Series. Zinno, based on what we have seen the last few weeks around New York, has it altered your view on the overall ceiling for the Amazons the remainder of this season?
You're going to have these stretches in Major League Baseball over the course of a 6-month season where you're just going to not do something well, whether it's your starters, your bullpen, or in this case for the Mets, it's been their lineup. I mean, they have the 7th fewest runs scored of any team in June. They have the 4th worst batting average of any team in the month of June. They're not hitting the ball. And this was a team that for the first 2 months of the year was one of the highest scoring teams in baseball, but particularly on the road, they're one of the highest scoring teams in baseball. And winning games away from home is a really good sign of a team that can go win in the postseason. And things have sort of cooled off. You know, you get to this point where 2 months in, everybody starts to realize, that's why they say, you know, don't really make any judgments about your team until Memorial Day. Well, you got to get to the first 2 months of the season to figure out what you are, only to find out in the third month what you thought about the first 2 months isn't exactly the case. And that's exactly what happened in the Mets here. So, you know, the other thing that's happened over the course of the past month, in particular, you look at tonight's starter in Griffin Canning, you know, we all forgot that Griffin Canning was a guy who pitched last year for the Angels, who couldn't get anybody out and was terrible because he fooled us all through the first 2 months the way he pitched and how good he was, and he was getting a ton of run support. But over his last 3 starts, he's given up a combined 14 runs in just 19 2/3 or 14 2/3 innings pitched against the Nationals, the Rays, and the Phillies. So the real Griffin Canning might have just stood up and turned around and showed everybody that, hey, this was sort of a little bit of a mirage what I put together for the first 2 months. We'll find out tonight when he pitches against the Braves in a spot that I don't really like for the Mets, being the fact that they snapped that 5-game losing streak to the Braves and finally got a win against them. But tough spot here for the Mets tonight against Grant Holmes, who is an up-and-down starter himself for Atlanta. I think the Mets are going to be fine when it's all said and done. They're too good not to. If Juan Soto, and it's a big if Juan Soto can get hot for a really long stretch, you know, as we get to July and August, that's really going to help this team. If he's hitting, the rest of the lineup's going to be better.
What's the future for the Mets for you, Mark? Like even up to the trade deadline, because the Mets are a good ball club, and every Major League Baseball goes through the ebbs and flows. You're hitting really well, now you're not hitting, now you're hitting, but you're not pitching at this point. Where do they wind up at the trade deadline? Is that a deep pocket ownership group? Are they really going to extend and say, you know what, Sandy Alcantara, come on down, we'll see if we can rekindle that? Or is this a Mets team that you're probably just going to say, you know what, I built this team, they're expensive, this is what you're going to see throughout the summer months here?
Outside of the Los Angeles Dodgers, the only team that is willing to spend as much, if not more, is the New York Mets. So I wouldn't be shocked to see them add more at the deadline. This is a team, again, that needs to win a World Series and needs to do it soon. I've said repeatedly, and I've told everybody this throughout the entire NBA playoff season because people don't realize this, the only thing that matters in the city of New York is winning a title. Win a title or the season is a failure. Those are the only 2 metrics in which pro teams in New York are judged by. So that's where the Mets are right now. There's an opportunity for them to add some more pieces to make this team better, to secure an NL East title, to secure a home field advantage or whatever it may be. They're going to do it. They know they have to go out and be able to beat the Dodgers. If they do that, there's a good chance they'll win the World Series. So they have to spend as heavy as the Dodgers do to do that.
An 11-1 price on the New York Mets to win that World Series championship. 5th best number, 3rd shortest out of a team around the National League. Of course, the Dodgers will and always remain an incredibly short favorite, and the Dodgers now at 50-31, second team in the bigs to get to 50 wins, first in the National League, matching the Detroit Tigers for the best record in all of baseball. Just about 2.5 weeks away from that All-Star break around MLB All-Star Game coming on July 15th. Zinno, will you be there in Atlanta?
I'll be in Atlanta. I'm not going to go to that. You nuts? I want no part.
Well,
Don't take the kids
enjoy
there.
your weekend elsewhere, my friend. Thanks for being here. More on the early line up next.